Have you ever had an exact expectation for the way something in your life was going to go? Like, I'm going to go to this college, and I'm going to marry this girl, and then we're going to have 2 kids named Janet and Roscoe. Only to see something completely else take place. To see God hand you a plate that you hadn't exactly ordered. And see, the beautiful thing is, what makes God God and what makes us human is the fact that we can't just call waiter God back to our table and say, yes, excuse me, waiter God, this isn't what I ordered. No, see, I mean, we must accept the plate, right? And as Christians, I believe that not only must we accept the plate, but we're called to have a peace and a joy about our situation, our plate that God has brought us. And I think that we see this very clear in Scripture. We see it in Psalms 4, in Psalms 33, in Psalm 16:11. The Psalter says, "You make known to me the path of life, for in your presence there is fullness of joy." We see it in the writings of Paul, in Romans, and in 1 Thessalonians. In 2 Corinthians 12:10, Paul says, "I am content in my weakness." And even in James, we see in the first chapter of James, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you face trials and temptations." And so, through Scripture, we see a very clear response to what we see as a hardship or weakness or any situation that we're handed by God. And so my question today is that always our response? I mean, do we always accept the plate that God has given us, the situation that He's given us with a joy and appreciation, rejoicing and praising Him? Or do we sometimes, maybe sometimes, fail to appreciate and rejoice in the situation that He's given us due to the fact that we planned and we expected, we maybe even ordered something else? See, because when we plan and we expect one thing, and we don't get that, and then not only we don't get that, we get something else, right? We get so hung up on the fact that we didn't get that one thing that we expected, that we completely fail to appreciate what we're experiencing, what we got actually is. Take, for example, this cup, right? Now, you can't see inside this cup. It's got these cool scriptures on it. It's a church coffee cup, obviously. And imagine that I begin to let you plan and to expect what's inside this cup. Imagine that you begin to plan and to expect that in this cup is a delicious sweet tea, like the super sugary kind from McDonald's or something. Now, imagine that I hand you this cup. And as you take the cup, you are planning and you're expecting a sweet tea, and I tell you to drink the cup, and you tip it back, and you take a drink. Now, I can almost guarantee that once you take the drink, you're going to hate what's inside. You're probably going to spit it out. And the reason that you're going to spit it out is not because the Sprite is bad. See, what's in this cup is actually Sprite. Now, you've probably had Sprite before, and when you've had Sprite, you've enjoyed it. But this time, it tasted terrible. Now, why did it taste terrible? I don't think that it was because of the Sprite. See, I think that the reason you hated the Sprite was because you were expecting the sweet tea. And so when you took that drink, and it wasn't what you expected, it wasn't the sweet tea, you failed to appreciate, you failed to even partake in the greatness of Sprite, what was actually in the cup. See, I think we do this in our own lives all the time. I think that constantly we're failing to appreciate what God is doing in our lives, what He's blessing us with in our lives, due to the fact that we planned, maybe we expected something else. See, Psalm 34:8 says, "Taste and see that He is good." To taste is the culmination of our senses. To taste is to partake in and to appreciate. And Psalm 34:8 says, "Taste and see that He is good." So, in our lives, may we begin to be open rather than closed-mindedly expectant of what the God of the universe, who can do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, as in the prayer of Ephesians 3, is doing in our lives. May we begin to see the greatness of what God is blessing us with in our lives, even if we don't get into that school, even if we don't marry that girl, or even if we're not even able to have Janet and Roscoe. Day in and day out, may we taste and see that He is good. A good that demands our appreciation and demands our praise. So may we taste the Sprite. Only this time, just expecting that whatever is in this cup is going to be incredible, because we know who made it.